Hey there! Did you know Kroger always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Kroger app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Kroger today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tired of ads crashing your comedy podcast party? Good news. Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Just head to amazon.com/ad-free comedy to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads. Enjoy thousands of Acast shows ad-free for Prime subscribers. Some shows may have ads.
Salah. Escape Cancelo. Oh, it's brilliant from Mo Salah. And still, Salah. Oh, sensational! Son had a goal and scored a beauty.
Oh, what a strike from Yuri Tielemans.
De Bruyne. That is what Martinelli gorgeous. Still going up. Oh, he's done it again. And City have won the Premier League.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, EPL Index proudly brings to you the best prediction podcast in the world, A Tad Predictable, with your host, Tadiwa Chanakira, and his guest, it's Guy Drinkle.
It's game week 21, and you know what that means. It's time for another brand new episode of A Tad Predictable. Well, technically, it's a continuation of game week 21, because we all know game week 21 started last week, Friday. It's continuing into this weekend. It's quite a long game week. I sympathize with FPL managers trying to navigate this 2-week game week. But I am joined this week by executive producer Guy Drinkle, because we've been on a bit of a hiatus. We on the podcast like to give our team, the staff, a bit of a break during the festive season, not bother Guy too much. Although we'll bother him when it comes to wrestling and that kind of stuff, but not too much on the football side of things. But Guy, welcome back to the show and welcome to 2024.
Yeah, it's still the same, isn't it? Still really cold and annoying. Wish everyone else would like me alone.
Really cold.
Yeah.
Really cold.
Got my first snow of the year today.
Oh, muzzle.
Yeah. Yeah. And they never, you know it's annoying because I live right by the sea. It doesn't lay properly. So you can't even, yeah, you don't even get the magicalness of snow. You just get slush.
Oh, that's the worst. That's the worst kind. Either don't snow or go full snow. That's what I think.
Exactly.
But Guy, we are back, obviously, to sort of get the second half of the Premier League season underway. We know at the beginning of the season, yourself and I did some reckless predictions. We call them reckless predictions because it's before the transfer window closes when we make those predictions. And we all know how much things can change during a transfer window. I think it's quite self-evident in one of my picks that I made. But we will get into those reckless predictions we made at the beginning of the season. We'll review them, assess them, see where we stand. We obviously made 2 sets of predictions, some for before by game week 16. And then some by end of the season. So we'll see how those go. But let's jump into the fixtures for this coming weekend. We've got Arsenal versus Crystal Palace in our opening game of the weekend. It's on Saturday, 12:30 kickoff. I'm surprised Liverpool aren't playing on 12:30, or is that because it's not an international break?
I think we only have one left, and they've put us in for the next international break.
You're joking.
It genuinely might be the reason, but yeah.
That is incredible. All right, so Arsenal, Crystal Palace. London derby. Arsenal haven't been in the greatest form of late. We've all seen their issues that they've had. I'd like to say pretty much all season in front of goal. Obviously, the glaring thing is that they've had injuries to some of their players up front, and maybe that has disrupted things a little bit. But is this a come right game for their attack, playing at home against the Crystal Palace side, who they've been Crystal Palace, can I say? Middle of the table, not in danger of relegation at the moment, I don't think, but also not going to ruffle any feathers sort of for European spots.
Oh, God. Could you imagine Roy Hodgson in you?
Well, he's done it.
He didn't nearly win it, to be fair to him. Let's say modern-day Roy Hodgson in Europe. I just don't think it would work, would it? I mean, that Fulham run was obviously magical all them years ago. And did he have us in Europe? Did he have Liverpool in Europe? That's cut from my memory, that bit. I think he did, because I'm pretty sure Kenny had a year in Europe. I don't care. That was an awful time. But yeah, not anymore for Roy. Yeah, Arsenal are the favourites, aren't they? I don't think form should matter too much in this, because Crystal Palace just have so many key injuries, and I think Elise has just been added to that list of injuries as well. And they have bright spots in the team. I don't think the results quite show that, but when Elise and Eze are cooking together, it is a really nice sight. I don't think it matters who the manager is all too much. It'll obviously help having a more exciting manager, but they do just perform exciting football. But when it's just one of them, and we've seen Eze on his own at times, he can perform really well, but like even the backups, like AU's in AFCON, so it'll probably be Schlupp on the left. Maybe they'll use that young Brazilian kid that Roy probably doesn't know exists. And then up front, Edouard
Mateta, I think.
Yeah, they're both French, aren't they? I don't think any of them are AFCON. So yeah, it's not going to be the prettiest looking side in terms of Crystal Palace, but as you mentioned, Arsenal do have struggles in front of goal, and you're watching them recently, and it's like Saka doesn't look the same. Martinelli doesn't look anywhere near the same as last season. Jesus is injured for 4 weeks, then he's back for one. It's a very strange setup there, and none of it seems to be quite coherent up there. Like, you've got Gabby Jesus, and then his backup is either Eddie Nketiah or Kai Havertz. Like, it's not really much planning there, considering you bought Kai Havertz for £1 bajillion, and you give Nketiah 2 years ago a new deal, like I think it's like $100,000 a year or something like that.
Yeah,
not a year, because that'd be stealing a living in football. $100,000 a week, I think it was, or something like that. But none of that fits. None of it fits together. It's very strange. I just like, beyond the first team, there's good players there, but it's not how it should work. Like, you look at City, you bring out one player, you put in a similar player. You look at Liverpool, some positions, but it's very strange. But that forward line, like, I'm not sure what's happened. I mean, what do you reckon? Do you reckon it's tactical or just sheer fatigue? Because Martinelli and Saka, very much especially, just does not play. Because even when he was like, I think I remember doing these shows earlier on in the season when it was Champions League, that, Saka's got a knock. And then you see him rocking up in the middle of the week against Lens or Sevilla in the Champions League. Like, let him rest. he needs a week off, mate. It's just, what do you reckon it is?
I think he's playing injured, personally, this season, and they just basically don't have time to... They can't find a window for him to sort of either rest it, rehab it, and or if surgery is required, have the surgery. He's just too important to them, it seems like. In terms of the firepower, I think it's tactical from stylistically this season, they haven't looked like they've gone gun-ho like they did to start last season. And part of me thinks it's because last season they sort of ran out of steam and they're worried it was going to happen again. And obviously this season they've got European football as well to worry about. It just feels like they're trying to game manage the season, try and maybe keep games to a lower score. Obviously the aim of the game is to try and win and score as many goals as you can. But we saw it from a Liverpool side not too long ago as well, where it was this heavy metal football from Klopp, and they sort of had to rein it in to control games to keep legs fresh for the rest of the season. If you don't need to get out of third gear to win the game, don't do it, because we know what City are going to do at that back end of the season. And if you got nothing left in the tank, you're not going to be able to keep up with them. So I think there's a part of Arteta that's stylistically changed the team to suit that, to try and be more controlled. And that means that they've suffered from an attacking standpoint in terms of obviously the firepower that we saw from them last season.
Yeah, and it's just because if you give Saka a rest, I know he's injured at the minute, but you could have put Fabio Vieira there, Trossard,
free Emmett Smith-Rowe. Emmett Smith-Rowe.
Like, I'm not sure if you've seen it when we played them in the FA Cup. I think it was, I can't remember his first name. It's that Humphreys lad. I think he moved to Chelsea. And I think his brother put something on Instagram like, this is why my brother moved to Chelsea. Or one of them, it was. I know it was Liverpool, it was a big game, but to not even bring any youngsters on, and as you said, it's not even the youngsters. Smith-Rowe must be, 21, 22 now? He should be an established part of the team. I know he's had lots of injury problems, but playing Reece, what the hell is his name? Reece Nelson, Christ, forgot his second name. Probably not a good point. But Reece Nelson, again, I think he got a massive contract in the summer. Talking 100 grand a week or something like that. Playing him seems to just it's like bottom of the barrel is playing someone on 100 grand a week. How the hell did it come to that? How has it come to that? And you look at City squad now, and that's who everyone will be compared to. They're playing maybe it's more out of necessity because of injuries and losing players in the summer, etc. But they get to give players like Oscar Bob a chance. And I know City have the best academy in the country now, but Arsenal should be, with Chelsea, the team that hoovers up most of the young, exciting talent in London. There must be players in the Arsenal academy that could probably make. Maybe Oscar Bob might be a bit more advanced because I know he's a full Norwegian international, but using him as an example, League Cup games, FA Cup games. I know it's against Liverpool and whoever knocked them out the League Cup, but give them a go. Liverpool, for example, we watched Conor Bradley and a few of them in the Europa League earlier on in the season, and when he got subbed on against Arsenal, I bet 90% of fans, that might be too much, but a lot of fans probably went, no, not against Martinelli, who's just come on. And he was fantastic. And now we go into the games against Fulham in the League Cup, etc. And we started Conor Bradley. And I'd start him, I'd be fine with, he has to bloody start because Trent's injured. He'd start him against Bournemouth, which we'll come on to in a few games' time. But that's how it is. Cameos can make careers. They just can. But you need to give him that cameo. It just seems very strange. But Arsenal's attack, I don't know if it is fatigue, but I do think Saka is playing injured, as you said. But it shouldn't be a problem in this game. But Palace do have a good defence, and Arsenal's just getting the form table up. I think Palace have actually got more points in the last few games, which is very much boosted by their win against Brentford in the last one. But yeah. I think it is actually true, but I think in the last one does boost it up a bit. But again, Arsenal were tipped to be in the title challenge again. You shouldn't be comparing their form to Crystal Palace. Never. Unless Palace are on the best run of form ever. But it genuinely shouldn't be ever compared. But in terms of prediction, I think it'll be quite an ugly game, but I think Arsenal should get through it. So I'll go with 2-0. But it'll be 1-0 and then a late goal whilst Palace are pushing.
Yeah, and if you look at the teams in and around Palace in terms of goals conceded, bar Everton, everyone else is sort of in the mid to high 30s. Palace are still on 29 goals conceded. The issue for them is the 22 that they've scored. They're not scoring an awful lot of goals. It doesn't help that every time they seem to get all their players back, someone gets injured. So I do feel sympathy for them. Just if they could get a run of a couple of games where everyone's fit and we get to see a full strength Palace, I'm sure they'll be performing a lot better than what they're doing this season. In terms of Arsenal, I think it's a come right game for them. It's at home. It's an expectant crowd. Although the 12:30 kickoff, we know it's a bit difficult to get the crowd going in those games just because you've just woken up. There's not enough time to get geared up for a game like that. So it will be interesting to see if the Emirates is loud and boisterous and able to help the team from that perspective. I'm going to go conservative and go 1-0 Arsenal in this one. I'm still worried about their attack. I think Crystal Palace will make it very difficult for them in this one. But yeah, Arsenal should have enough, and as has been theme for them this season, just get the win. It might not be a goal fest, but at least they get the win. Let's move on to Brentford versus Nottingham Forest. It's the return of Ivan Toney, Guy.
Oh yeah. He's definitely scoring a hat-trick, isn't he?
Well, he scored one in a behind closed doors game. I don't know how much. I was about to say I don't know how much weight we can attribute to that, but it did happen.
I genuinely am asking who was it against, if you know.
I can't remember. We can get the guys in the background to have a look whilst we.
Yeah, it's not me typing on the microphone. Brentford friendly. I can't spell friendly. That doesn't help me. Oh, there it is. Reading.
Southampton under 23s.
Ah, fantastic. That doesn't help. Right, how much do you rate Nottingham Forest? I mean, the first question, I suppose, other than the Ivan Toney stuff, do you think the financial thing will affect Forest? Because we saw it have a positive impact on it, on the performance of Everton, I should say, earlier on in the season. Do you think it'll galvanise Forest? They were less need of galvanising because that kind of happened with the managerial change, didn't it?
Tired of ads interrupting your gripping investigations? Good news. Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Ads shouldn't be the scariest thing about true crime. Just head to amazon.com/ad-free true crime to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads. Enjoy thousands of Acast shows ad-free for Prime subscribers. Some shows may have ads.
That's the thing. I think it's more the manager change than necessarily the points deduction. It would be nice for sort of them to do similar to what Everton did, sort of like an us against the world, and we see them come out fighting, give a spirited performance. But I think fortunately for Everton, if I'm not mistaken, their first game back after that points deduction was announced was at home, whereas this one is away from home. So obviously away fans are usually quite boisterous, but it might be a slightly different atmosphere in that sense. Look, Ivan Toney makes a huge difference to Brentford. We've seen them slump really badly in the month of December. They have the worst form in the league at the moment, which is quite impressive considering what Newcastle have been doing recently in the league at least. But Brentford have looked poor. They could not have timed this Ivan Toney, return any better because they need someone like him, especially after Mbeumo goes out injured. I think the loss of Rico Henry is quite underrated as well. But Ivan Toney, just to settle the ship again, I don't think with him starting majority of games for the rest of the season that they would be in danger of going down. I just think he's got enough in him to keep them up, at least from a goal scoring perspective. Nottingham Forest, I'm enjoying their football. I'm enjoying the emergence, it seems like, of Morgan Gibbs-White in the system. Obviously, Chris Wood rolling back the years, looking impressive in this system as well. It's good to see them playing good football. It's just unfortunate that obviously now this points deduction news has come out. They seem to be heading in the right direction, as you were, asking at the beginning there. We kind of don't know how it's going to affect them, whether, the players drop their heads or it galvanizes them. It's hard to back against Ivan Toney on his return game. He's spoken about the fact that he wants to pay back Brentford and the fans and the community for backing him. I can see him being desperate to make a statement in this game. I'm going to go 2-0 to Brentford.
Score hat-trick, get 80 mil off Chelsea. That's paying back. Never see him again. Yeah, it's just... Tony's obviously massive, but the parts around him that are gone as well.
Yeah.
Like, I've just loaded up the injury thing, and it has the AFCON lads as well. You mentioned Henry. Mbeumo is injured, but he'd probably be at AFCON anyway. Hickey, so both fullbacks are gone. Schade would be in the attack as well, gone.
Wissa, who was huge for
Wissa, yeah, he is at AFCON. Aya, who nearly back by the sounds of this. Wissa, Onyeka, Godos, Norgard. I think Godos has been playing right back for them, so basically they've got no fullbacks apart from Roverslev, how you say his name. So it's just, it's such a horrid set of injuries, and obviously AFCON you can't really do anything about. But three players that go to AFCON, it would be four if Mbeumo was fit. You could probably manage that. Not easily, especially with them being key players, but it just seems piling on, and they've not. I'm surprised they've not done something in the transfer window yet, unless I missed it. I think I saw them linked with some like Turkish FM regen, but I thought like the first day or first week of the transfer window, it should have been like loaning. If you don't want to buy someone, loaning a left back. Just go to one of the league, go to a Danish league, you love Danish lads, loan with an option to buy. They'd eat that up. Or, I don't know, I think he might be injured, and obviously Newcastle have their own injuries, but Matt Targett doesn't play for Newcastle at all. Just load him in for the rest of the season. It's not exactly exciting, but he's very defendable. Or just loan a youngster from one of the big clubs. But it just seemed, I don't know if they're having money problems or if they're up against the... what's the new phrase? It's not even FFP. Profit and sustainability crap that's got everyone in trouble nowadays. I'm not sure if they're up against that.
But I think in terms of left backs, they've had discussions with Tottenham with regards to Sergio Reguilon. That could be a decent. But that would be a loan. I believe.
No, that's not doing what I said. Go to a big club and get one of their back at one. No, that makes sense.
Almost like you know what you're talking about, guy.
It is. Just call me Mr. Brentford Insider. Indie Curler. No, that'd make a bit of sense. Obviously, it doesn't need to move too much. I have no idea where he lives, but London to London, just get on the underground. It's not complicated when you got to do. It's not complicated when you got to do a hole in your hand. Yeah, but I think that'd be an all right signing. Maybe not one to keep, but it'll do a job. Forest, again, they have a million people missing through AFCON and injuries, but at least they've got some options back, because Chris Wood was out, wasn't he? But I think he's back, or he's according to this list. Origi's not really done anything, so that doesn't really matter. But Taiwo's the big one, but in terms of AFCON, Jesus Christ. Zagare, Ainan, Niakate, Kuyate, Bolly, and Aurier. Good job they have a million players. Good Lord. But I think I'm going to back Forest. I'm going to go against the Tony narrative. The powers of football can't do this to me. I'm going to go 2-1 Nottingham Forest.
Oh, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. You've called out Ivan Toney.
I have.
We'll see how that works out for you.
Let's move on. My side.
Let's move on to Sheffield United versus West Ham. For West Ham, I think it's similar to Nottingham Forest, not necessarily in terms of volume of players going to AFCON, but certainly sweating over the injuries of certain players. We know Paqueta is one of those that's playing injured at the moment as well. Speaking of players that play injured throughout the season, Jared Bowen's been dealing with an ankle issue in recent weeks. Kudus gone to AFCON. That trio, Kudus, Bowen, Paqueta, seems to be all things good for West Ham when they go forward in attack this season. And if you're missing them, is it Souček that then has to step up as the person getting the goals for them? I don't know if he can do that.
Corners and vibes.
Yeah, Ward-Prowse and vibes, definitely. For Sheffield United, obviously, we saw the old manager, new manager bounce with them bringing in a familiar face to come and sort of steady the ship for them. I think they've been okay. Obviously, from a purely results perspective, you see those 2 losses in their last 2 games, the Luton 2-3 and obviously the Man City 2-0 loss. I think Man City, you almost just take that. It's Man City away, even if it's at home, as a tall order. But the Luton game, I thought they were unlucky not to at least come away with something from that game and could have even won it if the tables had just turned the right way for them in that one. I'm leaning 1-1. I don't know if West Ham have the firepower to run away with this one, and it's going to allow Sheffield United to stay in the game. Even if West Ham score early, I think Sheffield United at home will have the impetus to drive forward and get that goal to make it a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, it's a strange one because I think if West Ham had at least 2 of the 4 fit,
yeah,
I'd probably back them. But as you mentioned,
they don't even Mikel Antonio guy.
Is he back? Oh, yeah, he's injured.
No, fair.
No, he's injured now. Who the hell is going to play up front for West Ham?
Danny Ings.
He doesn't like Danny Ings, does he?
Well, he's going to have to now.
Mobamba or whatever his name.
Obama.
Yeah.
He was good in pre-season.
Bowen, 25% chance of playing. That's basically 100% in David Moyes as well. He's playing.
Rub some dirt on it. He'll be fine.
Does Ben Rama not go to AFCON?
He's on the fringes of the team, and he's someone that they're trying to offload this transfer window. So I don't know how much of a look in he's going to get.
So Fornell's Bowen, who will play. He could be dead and he'd play, I reckon. Fornell's Bowen, Ben Rama, and the young lad up top. And by that, it'll probably be Souček as a number 10, or Jim Ward-Prowse as a 10, off the top of my head. Yeah. No, I think West Ham will win. They'll get some crappy set-piece goal. And Sheffield United have a lot of people missing as well. I know they brought in Brereton Diaz as well, so he might help in terms of the attacking. It's just... It's hard for them. I mean, even just sheer numbers, I don't think all of these will miss again, but 11 players missing from a squad like Sheffield United is... Like, I don't think the squad was Premier League ready anyway, but Jesus, that's a whole team. It's not something manageable, and especially when some of these are 75% on Premier injuries, so they'll probably be all right. But Bogle, Baldock, Ahmed Hodzic, Trusty, Egan, Max Lowe, Basham. That's basically all of their back line, like injured. I think they might have another left back and another right back. I mean, not even Larouche. He's gone to AFCON, so even the backup left back's gone. So it's just very, very thin on the ground for them. So I'll back West Ham. I think they'll get some scruffy goal, and I think they'll hold on. I might go for what do I go for? I'll go 1-0 West Ham. I think it'll be horrendous. I think that'll be horrendous, that game. And I'll watch every minute of it.
Brilliant stuff. I don't know if that's going to be in contention for game of the season, in my opinion. But nonetheless, it's going to be on the now TNT Sports, formerly BT Sport. And Guy, in the UK, you have to constantly keep an eye out on where these games are going to be played, unless you're like me and you have Liberty Shield. Obviously, this podcast is presented by EPLindex.com in association with Liberty Shield. Liberty Shield is a great VPN service. It's easy to install, really easy to use, and has a whole host of features. It can be used on multiple devices, whether you're traveling and don't want to be locked out of, let's say, your bank account, or you want to be safe whilst you're using public Wi-Fi. If you want to unlock geo-locked content or just want to, protect your online data, then Liberty Shield, I highly, highly recommend it for you. It's definitely one of my favorite uses of Liberty Shield is just to unlock content on things like Netflix, being able to put myself in a different place in the world to unlock the content that wouldn't be available otherwise here in the UK. You can use it for stuff like Netflix, as I've said, or unlocking geo-locked films. I know Marvel films usually get locked, and it's quite easy to unlock those with Liberty Shield. We know not all of the EPL games are shown on TV in the UK, and Liberty Shield is a great way to still watch every single game. I just use SuperSport, the South African DStv network, and with that, they show every single Premier League game. So it's quite easy for me to just switch around with Liberty Shield, and we thank them for sponsoring our show. We also thank EPL Index Shop. It's on Etsy. If you guys use the coupon code EPL10, you'll get 10% off at checkout for that. And then for Liberty Shield, if you use the coupon code EPL25, you'll get 25% off of either the router or the software VPN. Right, Guy, we've paid the bills. Let's pay a few more, and we'll be back with our Reckless Predictions review. All right, we are back, Guy. We made some predictions. Some of them have become null and void. As I said, the transfer window is a cruel, cruel mistress. But let's run through them, discuss them, and we'll see if you're feeling confident to throw another one out there. Now, having had, half the season under your belt, you kind of have a feel for what teams are doing. Maybe it's dangerous doing it again in a transfer window, but this seems to have been one of the quieter transfer windows, despite what Sky Sports will be trying to tell you come deadline day. Guy, in terms of our predictions, these are obviously some of our fearless, bold predictions of things or scenarios that we thought will happen either by game week 16 or by end of the season. We each got two. In terms of by game week 16, mine were no manager will be fired before game week 16. And lo and behold, a manager got fired the week before this was going to be true. Oh. I was so annoyed and disappointed.
God damn it, Sheffield United.
I was so confident that I was going to see this one through. You had some pushback on this one when I made it, and I almost got there.
Yeah, that might be that might be because of some of my predictions. No, because manager, they're quite fire happy, and we did have a sacking, a parting of managers before the season started. So
hey.
I know it didn't count in this, but I thought someone should have got fired at that time. Yeah,
the Premier League's usually quite hot on the trigger with that. I just had a feeling people were going to wait, let it settle.
But that's the thing. There wasn't even that, apart from Heckingbottom, there wasn't many rumours, was there, about sackings?
I mean, Moyes had a sketchy time period. Pochettino had a sketchy time period. But these were all just, I think, frustration from results, not necessarily, okay, the team is seriously going to get rid of this person. And as I always say, it's not so much about who you're firing, it's who's available. Who can you go and get?
That's the thing. Like the Steve Cooper stuff was kind of in the background since last season, wasn't it? But
yeah,
it didn't really fire up loads till
it was time.
Well, till after Heckingbottom was sacked, was it? That's when it seemed to heat up more so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even now, like, there's no company rumours. There's no. There was something about Roy Hodgson, the other week, wasn't it? But that was more for end of the season rather than right now. So maybe something out of the blue, but like there's not been loads of pressure on managers this season, is there?
Not at all. Guy, my second one, another one that was very close to coming true. I said Liverpool would be top of the league but will end up finishing outside the top 2. Now, Liverpool were hovering in that first place, and it just so happened that Arsenal, by game week 16, ended up being the one on top. Again, I was a week away from that prediction coming true, and it was very frustrating for me.
Yeah, you just need to. If you put Arsenal in there, you would be bob on there, I reckon.
It's that finishing outside of top 2 one that I'm quite hesitant about. Liverpool do look like the most likely team to keep up with Man City. But we will see. We will see. All right, let's move on to your predictions. You had Haaland isn't the top goal scorer by game week 16. Now, how do you feel about that?
I should have said G plus A, shouldn't I? He doesn't do assists, he just does goals. He probably hadn't played for like 4 weeks at this point. So
I mean, Salah pushed him. Salah pushed him quite close. So did Dominic Solanke and Ho-Min Song. But
yeah, he's just a freak, isn't he?
He is an absolute robot.
Like, yeah, I'm never going to doubt it again, but maybe if everyone else just counted assists and goals, then yeah. But no, he just...
It takes an injury to slow him down.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think he's still, like, joint first now, isn't he?
Yeah, he is with Salah.
Yeah, Premier League, top scorers. Technically on top, Salah. Should have extended it to 20. But yeah, he's still second. Like, he's got a two-goal gap on third and fourth.
Yeah.
It's just... Jesus. Can he stay injured? Right. No, I think in terms of performances and stuff, I think he has dropped off a bit from last season.
Yeah.
And I know he's been missing for a good few, like probably a month and a bit now. But even when he wasn't playing, maybe he wasn't as impactful, but he was just still getting sheer numbers. And that's why he's not a human being. He's a cyborg.
Definitely. All right. Your other one was obviously a pushback to my prediction of no manager will be fired before game week 16, because you said Moyes would be sacked by game week 16. But lo and behold, he somehow found some form. It was starting to get a bit hairy for him, but he found some form and he's still there.
Yeah, and as you mentioned in the intro, we did these before the transfer window, and it was that stage where it was like, there was infighting. The director of football, I think he's technical director, actually. Technical director doesn't want James Ward-Prowse. He wants some randomer from the Bundesliga. Moyes wants Ward-Prowse, and say, well, the one of them will get something wrong, and then it won't happen. And then they ended up getting Edson Alvarez, Mavropanos, Ward-Prowse, and they've all basically worked quite well.
Kudus as well.
Kudus is, I think he was quite late in the window, wasn't he? If I remember correctly, and he's just been a phenomenon when he's been fit and when he finally settled into the side, I should say as well. No, I think that was very premature, that one. I think this might be his last year at West Ham, because I think this is literally his last year of his contract, and they may want a refresh, but he's done another smashing year after the troubles of last year, and considering he's not really doing it in a Moyes way, because I think, as we mentioned when we were going through their game, Antonio's been injured for quite a while, and he is what you'd expect. So for Moyes to go with Bowen up top, and then he rotates with Kudus and Paqueta at times, he has developed quite nicely tactically this year. It might be more out of necessity more than anything, but it's working. I mean, where are they in the league? They are standing... They're sixth. They would have snapped your hand off for that. And they've got a game in hand on Tottenham, so they could be 3 points behind Tottenham after the weekend. They're above Man United, they're above Chelsea, they're above Brighton, they're above Newcastle. Like, the only other team they should be arguably competing with that are above them is Aston Villa. And Aston Villa have had a fantastic, times and Emery went in there. So you can't really judge him for that. So he's doing as best as he could.
Yep, I agree with you there. All right. Now, we also had predictions by the end of the season. I said that Wolves would be relegated. I didn't have faith in Gary O'Neill being able to galvanize this team. And boy, has he been proving me wrong. 3 wins on the bounce as well, just in time for this podcast. He did it on purpose. But they've looked good under him. I've been very impressed with, obviously, the likes of Pedro Neto. It was unfortunate when he got injured. They would be a lot higher up the league, in my opinion, if not for that injury. Cunha stepped up. Obviously, they've got, a whole bunch of sort of players. Yeah, Wang's been good, Wang Hee-chan. He's away at the moment, obviously, for the Asia Cup. So we'll see how much that impacts their team. And obviously, we're going to be discussing them a bit later on. But yeah, I think that one's not going to come right for me. And then obviously my second one has become null and void because, as I said, the transfer window is a cruel, cruel mistress. I said Kane would win the Golden Boot at Spurs. And you know what, Guy? With the way Spurs are playing, how attacking they've been playing, they're even getting Richarlison scoring goals. Kane would have smashed the goal scoring race this season. I think he would have done Erling Haaland. I think Kane would have won it. Obviously, there's no way to prove that now that he's out of the Premier League. But I just think the style of play from Spurs, they create a lot of chances. Kane would have thrived in that system.
If he did stay, they could be top of the league,
Yeah.
You think of the chances, like Richarlison was awful till recently. Brennan Johnson's not been the best. To be fair, maybe if they didn't sell Kane.
Do you get a Van de Ven and a Johnson
that's the thing. So you'd have Ben Davies and Romero back there all season, but it bounces. But if they just got like Van de Ven and say Maddison and found money elsewhere,
yeah,
they could have genuinely been title contenders. Without Europe, I think if they had the European issue, it would have affected the squad. Yeah. But that's positive. Now he's second place in the Bundesliga. Get that shade in there.
The Harry Kane effect. Shame. Hopefully he wins a title there. Let's move on to your predictions. You had Luton staying up. Guy, with that small pitch, they're doing it at the moment. As things stand, if the league were to end, and I'm taking into account the potential points deductions for Nottingham Forest and Everton, Luton are in the mix to stay up, Guy.
He's 16th. Easy work. All it takes is 30 points, taking off 2 other teams.
To be fair, they're the best of the promoted teams.
Oh, absolutely. And I think when you've watched them, I can't recall them getting hammered. And you watch them, they're competitive in every game. That drew with Liverpool, obviously, should have beaten Arsenal, probably. Gave
City a run.
Yeah.
2-1 loss to City.
I think it's only Chelsea that's done really well against them, weirdly.
But that was 3-2 as well. So
I think the first game of I was like 3.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
I don't know why that popped into my head more than the recent one. But no, I think Luton, even if we discard the points deductions, they're only 4 points behind Brentford. I know Brentford have a million injuries, but 3 points behind Brentford, I should say, 4 points behind Forest, who could get a points deduction. So to behind Forest, who, again, spent a lot of money, had a settled side coming into this season, but then changed that on deadline day, signing a million players. And Brentford, who, again, injuries is the main issue there down there, but they've done better than anyone could have given credit for. And again, if we were to change them, I think Luton could stay up. They just seem to, even the weekend against Burnley, it wasn't a great game. And the goal, it's probably a foul, but at the same time, really I was going to swear there, really bad goalkeeping. But it is probably a foul in terms of what other goalkeepers have got foul for. But Trafford against Luton was awful, in that regard. In that instance, I should say. But they're always in games. Whereas you look at Sheffield United and Burnley, when they lose, they lose. Luton will pick up odd draws when they should be losing, etc., just by hanging in games. And that's what I think teams like that need, where they haven't overly splurged, they haven't gone and bought Premier League well established. Like, they've got Premier League experience in there in terms of like Townsend and Barkley, but they haven't just gone and bought lads who were playing mid-table every week. I don't think any of the promoted teams done that. That's probably why they're the bottom three currently. But it wouldn't surprise me if they go down. It wouldn't surprise me if they stay up, and I'm quite happy with that prediction where it is at the minute.
Yeah, it's looking a good one at the moment. Your other one, not so much. West Ham would be relegated. You really had a thing with Moyes.
They had
Moyes
no
was getting
players.
sacked game week 16. West Ham getting relegated by the end of the season. What have you got against West Ham?
They literally had like 4 players. Like Thomas Souček was a corpse last season, and now he's good again.
Had just lost Declan Rice as well. It wasn't shaping up to be a good season for them.
Their midfield coming into the season was Flynn Downs and Thomas Souček.
All right. But yeah, so that's where they sit. I guess for me, the only one I don't have any end of season one in play. The Wolves relegated one, I don't think it's going to come to fruition. The Kane one, obviously.
There's always points deductions.
I mean, true. Yeah, so I guess it's that Liverpool one of they'll be top of the league by game week 16 and will end up finishing outside the top 2. So that's my one that's still potentially there, although Liverpool weren't top. So yeah, I've lucked out, Guy. You've got the Luton one. I think West Ham are safe. We'll see. We'll see how you do come the end of the season.
Need some January splurging to put them in bother.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the last 2 games of the weekend. We've got Bournemouth versus Liverpool. Could you count this as a winter break for Liverpool? I mean, 10 days between games. Everyone else seems to be getting a lot more, but I guess that's the price of success. Being in the Carabao Cup, you're not going to get too much of a winter break. Certainly not in the Premier League. Coming up against the Bournemouth side with obviously a Boyd, Dominic Solanke, who's in really good form at the moment, but they struggled a bit against Tottenham. I think the energy of Tottenham, the attacking presence of Tottenham, we could see maybe not obviously stylistically the same, but a similar type of onslaught, so to speak, from Liverpool from an attacking standpoint. Bournemouth don't have Senesi in this one. He's going to be suspended. Can you see them keeping Liverpool out, or is there a way that you see them coming out of this game with something?
I think Liverpool's midfield's quite bare-boned, so I could certainly see it. It's just they're missing, like you mentioned, Senesi there. He's obviously been, I think he was their player of the month for December. But it's not just that. I mean, missing Senesi, missing Lloyd Kelly, who'd probably be his first backup, missing Kirkes, who would play left back and allow someone else to play centre back. Uwatara's been the left back, if I remember correctly, and Semenyo's probably been their second best attacker after Solanke. So they are missing a lot, and I think they obviously had the FA Cup game, and I think they were taught. I can't remember what league team it was. They were struggling against the lower league side. I think it was QPR. That rings a bell. So they still have that level of performance and togetherness, I think is probably the right way of putting it. But it's tough. It's bare bones now. As you look at Liverpool in terms of injuries, Matip's done for the season. Bajcetic doesn't exist anymore. Thiago doesn't exist. Tsimikas, Robbo was pictured in training. It might be too early. Hopefully he's back. Trent's done for a few weeks, maybe a month and a bit, which is huge. And Szoboszlai has a chance, but it might be too early. And we're obviously missing Endo and Salah as well. It's strange because I think every other position I'm quite happy with. Obviously, I'd love Salah there. Defence, I'm all right with. I think Bradley showed enough in the last two games. He's fine. Gomez has been really good at fullback, whether it's left back or right back. And Kanate and Van Dijk, I think that's the best in the league, certainly on form. It is in general as well, let's be honest. Let's not sugarcoat it. They are better. Bournemouth are definitely scoring 3 goals in this game now, I've said that. It's just the midfield. You look, McAllister as a 6. I think Endo was doing so well there, but McAllister's fine. Gravenberg's not working, is it? So hopefully he has a big pre-season next summer. Elliott probably plays there. Curtis Jones has been fantastic, I should say, as I remember he exists. But I think it's just... If Liverpool's midfield clicks, I think they should win quite comfortably. If it doesn't, I think it might be one of those dogged, horrid games we've seen quite a few of this season by Liverpool, where they'll be 1-0 down at half-time and then just win 2-1, which seems to be the way this season. But Bournemouth are a good side. I think they're just missing quite a lot of players, so we'll back Liverpool. I said 2-1. I'll say 3-2 Liverpool. Even though I said Liverpool's defence is really good. But okay, anyway, I'll go 3-2 Liverpool and whatever.
That would be an exciting game. I've got 2-1 to Liverpool. I think this is a game that Liverpool need to show themselves that they have a squad that can keep up with Man City this season. You've listed all the players that won't be available for Liverpool, but they still have good players there. They still have players like Darwin Núñez, who is one of the better creators in the Liverpool team. I think he's 4th on the list behind Salah, Trent and Szoboszlai. He needs to step up. How many times does he have chances and he doesn't convert them? Now there's no excuse. If him and Jota aren't firing, it might be a long afternoon for Liverpool. So maybe this might be a game that suits Darwin Núñez, where it will be similar to his Benfica days, where he's the main man. He's the one that has to come up with the goods. He doesn't have the Salahs, etc., to rely on. But yeah, I've gone 2-1. I think Liverpool will have enough. I think it's going to be a big game from Alisson. I think he's back to being the best in the world again. Van Dijk, again, back to being the best in the world. Those two are going to be really pivotal in this game, just to hold Bournemouth within range for Liverpool to go and get that 2-1 win. And sort of continue their march to try and get a title, at least challenge City and keep it competitive, especially for the neutrals. Let's move on to Brighton versus Wolves, the last game of this game week. Wolves are playing now against Brentford in the FA Cup, and obviously in terms of teams, I don't think Ivan Toney is playing in that one.
I think he's technically still suspended now.
I see. That's why he's not in there. But looking at that Wolves side, they've got 3 at the back in this game. They got most of their starters, probably all the starters that they could start at the moment. Lemina's on the bench. Maybe he would start in the league game this weekend. Pedro Neto, obviously on the bench. He's just come back from injury. But other than that, everyone else, it's quite a strong side from Wolves. Does that play into your predictions for this weekend in that game against Brighton, who obviously probably have then the fresher legs? They've got the whole a longer time to prepare for this game. A Brighton side who have been hit and miss this season, I think, Guy, is fair to say about them. I think one of those squads that has suffered from getting into Europe. Obviously, it's a first world problem in that everyone wants to get into Europe, but then, sometimes you don't have the squad to manage both that and still be as competitive as you were in the league. I say that they're in 8th, but I think they would have wanted to be, and considering how teams are playing this season, they would have been hoping to be slightly higher up the table. I want to back Wolves in this one. I know they're the away team. I know they've got the FA Cup game, but I'm just going to ride the hot hand here, Guy. I'm going to go 2-1 to Wolves.
I see West Ham are losing to Bristol City. Let's get that train going. Get them relegated. It's a weird one, isn't it? I think Brighton's such an unpredictable team, because I think you mentioned the European question mark, and some managers will not rotate enough. We mentioned it with Arteta earlier on. Some managers find the middle ground. I think City and Liverpool kind of found that in the previous years, whereas De Zerbi's gone the other way. He will not play the same team 2 games in a row. And I think that's probably where the inconsistencies come from. Obviously, they've had a lot of injuries. I mean, some players just are injury prone, like your Lampteys and stuff like that. But even when, like, Estupiñán, who played every game for them, gets injured, it's a real pain in the butt. But you look at them recently, and I think they are trying to find consistency with some players. I mean, like, João Pedro's been on fire recently. I mean, 0-0 with West Ham's not bad. Beating Tottenham's good. Draw with Palace, it's their derby. Away at Selhurst, pretty good. So, apart from the Burnley game in the last 5 in the league, it's not many bad results. I mean, the Arsenal game wasn't great because they were kind of outclassed a bit, if I remember correctly. But they're doing fine. I think they just need, especially whilst there is no European games, I think we've got another month or so till that kicks off again. Just play your João Pedro, build the attack around him. I know Matoma's injured and got called up to the Asia Cup for some reason. But Pedro, Welbeck, random regen. Buonanotte. I'm probably missing people. I know they're missing like Solly March and stuff like that, but yeah, just try and get the solid base that you can in defence. I know they've struggled there all season. Basically, I don't think they kept a clean sheet till recently, did they?
Yeah, it's very recent. No.
Yeah, which isn't great. But if you get Dunk there consistently, you're stupid on there consistently. Veltman's not had the best season, but get him there, and then whichever other centre back you want with Dunk, it's probably Van Heck this season. Make that solid back line. Pick a goalkeeper, stick with him, because who the hell rotates goalkeepers? Weirdo. But midfield's fine. Just find some consistency in attack and find some consistency in defence, and they'll probably climb up, because let's be honest, I mean, if they win, they go above United, so they'll be back in the relegation zone. And what's the goal difference? Would they go above? They'd go above West Ham as well if West Ham were to lose. So they couldn't be arguably in 7th, or could be in 6th. But I'll back Brighton. Being at home, I like some of the players. I think Wolves don't get the break, as you mentioned, and a couple injuries here and there. Hwang obviously missing. Got to be careful with Neto as well, because if he gets injured, it's very much bare bones in the front three. So I think Kaladzic has gone on loan. Fabio Silva's gone on loan. So they are very light up there at the minute. But I'll back Brighton, and I'll go 3-1 Brighton.
3-1 to Brighton. That would be a fun way to end this game week, Guy. But we have reached the end of this podcast. That's going to do it for another episode of A Tad Predictable. Do you have anything you want to plug, put over, promote before we wrap up?
I'll be with Dave on Friday's show, and then in Liverpool side of things, I think the next podcast I'll probably be on is the League Cup second leg next midweek. I'm not sure which day it is exactly, but I'll be on the post-match for that hosting as usual.
Interesting stuff there, guys. Definitely do check that out. Obviously, from my end, go and check out the EPL Index website. There's match previews, post-match reviews, player performances, all of the news you guys could wish for, especially during these transfer news, these transfer windows. There's all the transfer news you guys could wish for. Of course, as Guy has alluded to there's the daily podcast show, the Two Footer podcast with Dave Hendrick. Also go check out the EPL Roundtable with Kev De Vries. He sits down with panelists from respective EPL teams. They do reviewings and previewings of the happenings around the EPL. Go and follow this show on the Twitter page at A Tad Predictable. Go and follow at EPL Index. Subscribe to EPL Index podcast channel on your podcast providers. Give us 5 stars. Write past your comments. That's that good stuff really does help us out. Yesterday, I was on the Loyalists pod. They wanted to interview me, and obviously I gave some predictions on there as well. So lovely bunch of guys. Go check out their podcast. They're at the Loyalist Pod on Twitter. I've been Tadiwa Chinakira. You can find me on my Twitter handle at TadPredicts. Huge thank you to Obi Semenya. He's at John Empire SA. And Jodie McKenna, she's at Spursy141 for our guest intros. Our producer behind the glass, but he was in front of the mic today, Mr. Guy Drinkle. He's at Guy Drinkle. And remember, Chisingaperi, Chinoshura.
What a strike from Yuri Tielemans. De Bruyne. And it is Martinelli forward. Still going up. Oh, he's done it again. And City have won the Premier League.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Tired of ads barging into your favorite news podcasts? Good news. Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Just head to amazon.com/ad-free news podcasts to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads. Enjoy thousands of Acast shows ad-free for Prime subscribers. Some shows may have ads.